Hello team and welcome back to the channel. So in today's video we are going to talk about private Docker registry with SSL certificates. Now why do we need it? So you know that in any company they are going to use Docker to build Docker images and they are going to store it to some kind of Docker registry, right? But there are multiple options for that. So in order to store Docker registries, what we can do, first option that we have is that we can store it to public Docker registry, but it's not very secure option because anyone can be able to access it. Second option that we have, we could use some kind of cloud platform like AWS or Azure, and there we could use ACR like Azure Container Registry or Elastic Container Registry in AWS, right? But again, these are managed by cloud platforms only. So in some companies, they prefer to get complete control over the Docker registry. So what they do, they set up their own custom private Docker registry and they set it up on Linux machines. So that's what I'm going to show you. And the best part is that in this project, I'm going to show you how to set it up, everything along with authentication. Plus, I'm also going to show you how to integrate SSL certificate so that our registry should be accessible on a custom domain. Yeah, you heard it right. We are going to map custom domain as well. Okay, so all these things we are going to show you completely from scratch. So make sure to watch it till end so that you don't miss out any of the points. So team, yeah, now we can get started. And before that, make sure to subscribe to channel if you haven't already. Now, first thing that we have to do is we have to get a virtual machine. So for that, I can go to AWS and we have to click on launch instance. And let's say I'll just provide the name as private server. And then I'm using an Ubuntu machine. Version we can select as 24.04, which is one of the latest LTS. And here we can select the instance type, and now I'm going to select T2 medium just for practice, and then we can select the key pair. Talking about security group, so we can select the primary one, and you need to make sure that you have a port 5000 open, okay, because that will be the port on which our registry will be set up. Scrolling down on storage, so I'm giving 25 because this is just a demo, and rest everything is fine. We can click on launch instance. Once it is launched, you can go here and you can connect to the machine that you just created by getting the public IP address, and then you can go to MobaXterm. In MobaXterm, let's create new session, SSH, provide the IP address, username, which is going to be Ubuntu in our case, then advanced SSH. Here we have to select the private key, which is present on our local machine. Once we have done that, next thing you can do is simply provide a name. So I'm going to provide a name as Docker-registry. And yeah, if you want, you can just set up a color also. I'll just go with blue. And now our registry is connected. Okay, sorry, our VM is connected and we are able to access it. Next thing that we are going to do is run first command, which is sudo apt update. This is going to update all the packages available and make them ready for usage. Okay, now next thing that we have to do is install Docker and enable Docker. Why we need to enable Docker? Because whenever system restarts, then automatically Docker will be started. Okay, so I'm going to copy this command and it's going to install Docker, and let us do that as well, and it's going to enable it as well. Okay, after that, if you want, you can simply check it by running the command docker -- version. But yeah, let's wait for this to complete. And okay, I guess it's almost done. So as we can see, Docker is installed version 26.1.3, which is fine. Scrolling down, now what we have to do, we have to set up a local Docker registry that we can do using a Docker image of name registry:2. Okay, and you can see the command simply says docker run -d for detached mode, -p for publish the port, and port we are using 5000. As I told, this is going to be the default port for registry. We are giving a name also, registry, and restart always. Why we are using this restart always? So that if for any issue or because of for some reason the container like stops, then automatically it will be restarted. Okay, so now we can run it, but the thing is it's not going to run immediately. If I show you, let me increase the size. You can see it gives permission denied because by default only root user has permission to execute Docker commands. So in order to make sure that with Ubuntu user also we are able to execute commands, what we have to do, we have to add Ubuntu user to Docker group, which we can do by running the command sudo usermod -a G, which is going to append the Docker group to Ubuntu user then docker group, and then $user we can write, which means current user. And now Ubuntu user is added in docker group, but again these changes are not reflecting as of now. So for these changes to immediately reflect, what you can do, you can log out and log in again, or you can run this command, new group docker, and now it is done. Now again we can run this command. We can run the command to, sorry about that. I can run this. Now I can see it's not able to find the image locally, so it's going to download it from Docker registry, and that is done. Now here, as I explained, ensure the container restarts automatically if it stops. For that purpose, we have added restart always. Okay. Now we can verify one time that the registry is running or not. So I can use the curl command and localhost :5000. If you can see clearly, I'm using localhost because as of now we have not mapped the custom domain to our IP address. So we can simply run this, and here if you get this output, this curly braces output, that means it is working fine. Okay. Now what we are going to do, pull a sample docker image, docker pull ubuntu, which is very basic image we are picking up. Next thing what we have to do, we have to tag it, so that, see, because you know, if I explain you one example. So basically what happens when we are pushing a docker image to public docker registry, in that case we simply write the docker image name is something like this, our username / the image, let's say image is board game colon a tag maybe latest. This is the generalized name for a docker image when we are going to push it to docker public registry. But when we talk about pushing a docker image to a private registry, then it's going to be a little different. How? So in that case, first it's going to be docker registry URL. First is going to be the docker registry URL, and then you have to write the docker image name. Image name you could write something like this: _𝗏𝗏 board game colon latest. And I hope you can understand the difference. When you are working with a private docker registry, you have to name the docker image in this format, where first is going to be docker registry URL. That's exactly is being done here. Docker tag command, we have the docker image ubuntu available, and we are tagging it with this name. You can see this is our registry URL /ubuntu, right? So we can now tag it. Okay. And now if I run this command docker ps, you can see that we have two docker images. If I run docker images command, you can see two docker images available. One is ubuntu, second one is with the tagged image, which is localhost :5000. Okay. Now what we have to do, we have to push our new docker image, the new docker tagged image, to our private registry. One question you might be asking, Aditya, as of now we have not set up any kind of credentials. For example, when we are working with a docker, we have to run the command docker login. We have to log into our registry, then only we push it. Here it did not come. Why? Because we have not yet set that up. We have to set it up in upcoming steps. Okay. But from here we can confirm that we are able to set up our registry, and using this catalog, using this curl command, you'll be able to see docker images present. As of now, inside this repository, we have only ubuntu image available. Okay. So first thing is done. That means image is successfully pushed to the private registry. Okay. As of now, it's not completely private, obviously, because we have not set up any kind of credentials, but we will be. Okay. Next step is that what we can do. Let me show you docker. Sorry about that. What exactly we can do? We can remove the local image docker rmi ubuntu, which is the local image already present. Okay. And now what we are going to do, we are going to try to pull docker image that we have stored inside the private registry that we just set up, right? So for that we can run docker pull, and you can see it is able to pull it, right? Now this part is done. We are able to see that, okay, we are able to set up. But next thing is that we need to set up authentication, so that someone who wants to access some kind of docker image in our private docker registry, they must provide credentials like docker login, username and password, right? For that, what we have to do, first of all, we have to create a directory and make sure you are using sudo here, because if not, it won't work. Trust me, I have tried. So we are going to create this folder, and that is done. Next step, we have to change permissions so that full access can be given. Let me do that as well. Okay. Now, next thing, we have to install Apache utilities, which is going to be the tool for setting up credentials. Okay. So we have to install that as well. And these are some Linux packages available by default. So you just need to install them. Okay. Now let's talk about, see, Apache, this one. Apache HT password is going to be utilized to create username password authentication. Okay. Next thing, how we can generate credentials. So this is the command using which HT password ppn my user. This is going to be the username and password which you want to set up for authenticating with your Docker registry. Okay. And you can see this credential is getting stored inside a file named HT password on the location of the directory that we just created. Okay. Here you can just go through documentation to understand. -b basically means that it is going to use bcrypt for it's going to use bcrypt for password encryption. -n prints credential instead of saving them, and yeah, this is going to be the username password. Okay, so let me correct it, and I'm going to name the user 𝗕𝗫. Give me 1 second, guys, sorry. And here we can set up a password. So password, I'll just put it as 𝗕𝗵𝘁. Okay, and this is going to be the password setup, credential setup for us. And let's run this, and this is done. Now coming back, so now what we are going to do, the registry that we set up previously, we should stop it and we should start a new one with proper authentication enabled. So for that, I can run the command stop registry and rm also, so that it does not get started automatically, because we, as you remember, we wrote something which was restart always. Okay, now here we have to run a new instance with authentication. Okay, now here you can see this is we are attaching a volume. This will be the volume. Then here authentication ST password, which means that the authentication for this registry is going to be coming from Apache utilities, which is ST password. Then you can see here ST password realm. Now what is realm? Realm is the basically it's simply a string that is going to be visible when you run the docker login command. Okay, and then this is the location where the credentials are going to be stored, and this is the docker image. Okay, so we can run this command. And that is done. So team, before we move ahead, just to let you know that batch 9 of DevSecOps and Cloud DevOps is starting from 25th March. And talking about this course, so we are going to have total 20 mega projects. These are projects going to be full stack, including databases as well. That means we are going to cover MySQL plus Node.js, MySQL plus Java, .NET plus MongoDB, Python plus Postgres. So in this way, you'll be having knowledge of integrating these kind of databases with the applications. Then we are going to have cloud projects, multiple cloud projects. On AKS, we are going to have projects. On EKS, we are going to have IAC projects. We are going to have microservice based projects. Including all this, there will be total 20 projects that will give you a very good knowledge of different kind of real world projects. We are going to have total 150 plus hours of content, including live plus recorded sessions. And yeah, again, as I said, this is going to be live batch as well. So we are going to have live sessions on weekends. We are going to have 14 plus modules. Now, best part about this course is that for those who are going to transition to DevOps, so for them, I'll be guiding you how to present your DevOps knowledge in your resume as well as in your interviews. So whenever your interviews get scheduled, you can connect to me. I'll be guiding you on how to answer questions, how to present yourself in interviews and all those things. So yeah, if interested, you can check it out, and details will be in the description. Now, with that being said, we can move ahead. Now you can see we can try this Docker login. If you remember, the URL is localhost 5000, because as of now we have not used any kind of custom domain mapping. So we can run the command docker login and the registry URL, and you can see now it is asking username. So here, what was the username? 𝗕𝗫𝗁, right? Password was 𝗕𝗵𝘁. And you can see it is saying now login succeeded. That means we like the setting up of password credentials for our private Docker registry is working fine. What is the next step? Next step, what we can do, we can firstly we can perform custom domain mapping, and we can install a SSL certificate as well. Okay, so for that, before anything, what you have to do, first go here, get the IP address, public IP address of the VM on which you are working, and go to your domain provider platform. So for me, it's going to be GoDaddy, and I have this domain skjptpp.in. Here on the DNS record, you have to go, and you have to go on a record, click on edit, make sure it's @ and here you have to provide the new IP of the VM that with which you are working. Click on save. Okay. See, remember this, before you generate SSL certificate, you have to make sure that your domain is mapped with your IP. Okay. Why we have to do that? Because when you are running the SSL certificate, first thing it's going to check is like where exactly the domain is pointing to. So by default, our domain should be pointing to this IP address. Okay, and we have just now added it, so this will take few minutes to propagate. And how we can confirm if it's propagated or not? We can go to our website DNS provider. Here you can simply put skjptpp.in a record and click on search. As of now, you can see multiple crosses are coming. Okay, so I'll refresh again. Now number of crosses, I think it's still one is there. Another way to confirm if it is working or not, you can run the command ns lookup, and here you can run the command. You can simply provide the domain. My domain is skjptpp.in. Click enter, and you can see it's pointing to correct IP. That means now it is working. Okay, now it is domain is changes are propagated. Now what we can do, first we can install certbot, so that's SSL certificate. We can get free certificates, and we can run this. And next command we have, which is to install the certificate for the for our domain. Okay, because this cert only, it's going to only generate the certificate, but does not modify the system configuration. Standalone we have to add, so that it's going to use its own web server, and then we have the domain. Okay, so I will copy this command as well, and we can run this. Now let's see what happens. And here it is asking for email. Now any email you can put, it's not mandatory that you have to put specific email. If you want to get notified about the certificate expiration, then you have to put some proper email, but since this VM and everything will be gone in my case, so I'll just put random email .com xyz@gmail.com. Click enter and just put yes, again put yes. And now you can see it says account register requesting a certificate for our domain. Now let's wait for some time. Again, I'm saying this will not work if you have not mapped the. Okay, here we have failure. Okay. See, if this is coming, just remember that, understand that this might not be propagated properly. So guys, I just ran this same command for the third time, and this time it worked. Why it worked? Because this propagation, this changes that we just applied, we added the IP address to our domain. So sometimes these changes may take quite a little bit more time. So yeah, after this is propagated, then only certificate will be generated properly without any issue. And yeah, as of now, it has been done. So next step that we have to set up the if I go here, this part is done. So again, we have to stop the registry, because now we have to set it up with SSL as well, right? So we have done that, and final command we have here, where first of all you can see this is the path for our certificates. This is for the authentication, and then we have registry realm, which is going to be just a string, which should be visible when you when you run the docker login command. Okay, for example, if I put here as private docker registry. Okay, and this is the password thing, and yeah, see, st password is being used for the this one for the credential setup. Then we have TLS certificate path, then we have a TLS key, and don't worry, you don't have to create this, it will be automatically created. So yeah, this is what we can run now, and this should start our registry with proper thing. So team, once we have registered, once we have started the registry with SSL and authentication, Next thing that you can try is basically check if it is working or not. So first thing you can run is curl -k-u. -k is to just like ignore the warnings. Then this is for username and this is the password, and this is the, I can see, HTTPS URL, right? Now click enter, and if you get this kind of brackets, that means it is working fine, and this is properly working. In case you don't get this and you are getting some kind of error, in that case what you have to do, you have to execute these commands, which is going to set up permission. By default it should be already available, but in case if you are getting error, then you can try this. Okay, and after try this, you can run the command docker restart registry. Okay, and this should be able to fix your issue. Yeah, now we have tested this. Now what we can do, we can try to log in into the account. For that we can run docker login 𝗕𝗏𝗃𝗏𝗃.in:5000, and we are able to log in. Now some of you might be thinking how exactly we did not provide any credential, how exactly it did, like immediately we were able to log in. So basically previously I provided and it got saved, so that is why we are able to log in. Okay, now we are able to log in. So next thing what we can do, let's say I'll run let's do one thing. Let us download some image and let us push it to our this repository. Okay, so first I'm going to pull docker pull, and I'm going to pull one of my let's say 𝗭𝗏𝗃 image, 𝗭𝗏𝗃:/community. Okay, so this image will be downloaded, then we are going to tag it, and then we are going to try to push it to our private registry. Okay, so let's wait for this to complete. Okay, this is done. We have docker images, 𝗭𝗏𝗃 image is available. Now we are going to tag it, saying docker tag which image we want to tag, 𝗭𝗏𝗃:/community. Okay, and now I want to tag it with what? I want to tag it with a specific we want to tag it with a specific, first of all, as I told you, the format is going to be firstly skjptpp.in:5000/. okay, and now we have to write this one. Image is tagged, and now we can see docker images. You can see this is the new docker image, which will be able to pushed inside the private docker registry. Okay, so what we can do, we can try to push it, docker push LTS-community. Okay, and now you are able to see that it is getting pushed. So once it is successfully pushed, we can run one command to check if this image, this specific image, is available inside our private docker registry or not. So yeah, let me show you that as well. Yeah, meanwhile this is going to take a little bit of time. So team, now we are able to push our docker image. Now next thing that we can do is run this command curl https image name, sorry, registry name /v2/_catalog, which is going to show us if we have images inside it or not. So as of now you can see it's giving unauthorized, so we have, that means we have to provide credentials. So let us do that. Go here, -k-u, username is 𝗕𝗏𝗃. Sorry about that. Okay, and you can see inside this repository, as of now we are having a 𝗭𝗏𝗃 docker image. That means we are successfully able to push our docker image to private docker registry. Okay, so I hope this was useful, and if so, then make sure to give this video a like, and if you are new on the channel, make sure to subscribe. So guys, thanks for watching and have a nice day.